What's good, everyone? What's good? Probably saw me just sitting there for a second. My computer was going crazy slow. Anyway, what's up? It's your boy Cedric Green, C Green, here coming live from Shady Sports Network, and you are watching Shady Sports Fantasy Reports. Thank you guys already joining in. Looks like it's just me right now, which is cool. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and get it started, and if Justin and Shawnee chime in, we'll go ahead and bring them on and keep it going. Either way, we're gonna stick to it. Go ahead and hit you with that intro and get it going. Yo, what's good? What's good? It's your boy C Green here, Shady Sports Fantasy Reports on Shady Sports Network. You can find us on all social media, all, on the interwebs, www.shadysportsnetwork.com. Hit us up on YouTube where I'm trying to put all these videos, trying to get everything there. So find it on YouTube on the Shady Sports Network and in the playlist, Shady Sports Fantasy Reports. I think this is episode 5. Your boy Cedric Green. You know how we do if you've been following us. We kind of try to keep you updated on fantasy football, and we just got some super early news. It's off season, but we're rolling into the season very, very quickly. As we've been saying every week. So we're just trying to bring you, we got our super early defensive rankings in here to talk to you guys. Sailor's Mouth, whoever. Hey, let me know who you are. I don't know who you guys are. I just see your stream name. So let me know who you are. Thanks for following, man. He's already on there. They're already on there. It's a 7.5 sacks allowed a game. Sounds like 2021 Joe Burrow. Not sure. But clarify, let's get into it. But anyway, you guys know we've been trying to keep up. We got some sponsors this year. It's our 3rd season. So we're trying to come strong, get you guys engaged, get you guys following us. So please, 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 hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and share us out. Follow, like, subscribe, and share us. I mean, it costs nothing to share this out. And we're bringing you free content, not just fantasy football and the NFL, but we got basketball content. We got arena football, indoor football. I think we got some wrestling content, some racing, all kinds of stuff on Shady Sports Network. So check it out. Not just me. We got everything you need coming at you from every different angle. Like I said, we do have our sponsors for the show. We got Cash App. We got Manscaped. So if you haven't used Cash App before, it's a good way to send cash quickly to someone. And if you haven't, you can download it, use our code, and you get $5. So I think that's pretty cool. You get a little bit of cash just for sending money, and it's, it really doesn't cost much if you're sending it to your bank. Then we got Manscaped. Last week we did an unboxing, my first unboxing. I'll have to clip that out and put it out there and start doing more of that as we hopefully get more sponsors. But we had our unboxing. They sent me a couple of products, the lawnmower, and then the body scrubber, and they're great products. So we did that unboxing. You can go see that in the last episode. But anyway, let me go ahead and get those playing, and then we'll get it going.
How are you? Bring them things, bring them things. I call the plug, bring them things. I bring them things.
That's money. That's cash out.
Forever you and me, right by my side, where you ought to be. Cause if I ever were to lose you, I just don't know what I'd do. Let me hear you now.
Welcome back. Found out why we didn't have the guys in the room because I didn't send out the info this week, so that's my fault. It's all good. I'm glad you're here, Justin, because like I was saying in the chat, I plan on on touching on your defensive tiers, I guess, not necessarily rankings.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. So
I
hey,
was up
how
late coming up with those.
there we go. So I figured one thing we didn't do, I mean, we didn't really do an introduction for ourselves this season. So I wanted to go ahead and take a moment. If you want to just go ahead and kind of just, it doesn't have to be anything grandioso,
Mhm.
but just kind of let the people know who you are, how they can find you, and just kind of a little bit on your experience. I know we touched on it, but just kind of lay it out.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, so I'm Justin. Said met me through the Sleeper app, doing fantasy football leagues through there. I'm co-running a 32 team league right now, and I'm on the Discord app as Tashera, and Sleeper app is same as Tashera. And if you got any fantasy football questions, I'm more than happy to send you my advice and my perspective on it. By no means you have to follow it to a T, but I'm willing and able to help you as much as I possibly can.
Yeah, man. I was actually thinking, man, like I was looking on the Sleeper app. Maybe I gotta go on my computer and look it up. But I was looking on
Yeah.
from my phone, but I couldn't really find anything about like an affiliate program. Cause like I want to talk about
Yeah.
Sleeper. Like what I'm saying. Like you said, we came across each other in the Sleeper app, and then me and Shawnee, our other leagues that we have together, we switched over on the Sleeper app. I think last season. So this will be our second
I like it
season.
a lot better than the ESPN and Yahoo, in my opinion. Not to like
Mm-hmm.
do anything
Yeah.
with like those things or start a kerfuffle, but I like how smooth it is run over there on Sleeper.
Yeah. I mean, I like Yahoo because I do like their chat feature. Like I
Oh,
like
that's
clicking on a
yeah,
player and they have a lot of like engagement about their players in their chat feature. So I like that. But
yeah.
Sleeper, like, and I really want to shout them out, man. Sleeper, I want to shout you guys out. So if you're listening, find us. I'm gonna tag it all over the place. You guys watching, please at Sleeper in the comments, at Sleeper app. Hopefully it's right. It's kind of a weird name, random
Yeah,
name, but
whatever we can. The more
yeah,
words, the better.
let them know. I'd love to, have them, just as a sponsor or even just to talk about them more, just because it
Hmm.
is so much more in that app, than just fantasy football. Not only can you create, almost any type of fantasy football league that you want, but you can, you have your betting on there, you have information on so many different sports. Like it's it's crazy.
It's
Like,
like a whole like encyclopedia in one app form. It feels like there's so many like sub forums and chats and channels and things you
mm-hmm.
can just dive into and get lost.
Yeah, man. So all you guys listening, tag Sleeper app, the Sleeper Fantasy app for us. Hopefully they listen to this because I would like to get our show on there because they have like their podcast section, their video sections as well. With
Hmm.
like bigger shows. But I'd love if we could get this show on there too, get it going. But I just want to say that really quick. Not to take too much of it up, but yeah, and then like I was saying, I wanted to touch on your defensive tiers. I didn't call them ranking so much when I was like looking
Yeah, I
at
didn't
them
know how
because
you wanted them, but traditionally when I do my like what I did is like what I'm looking at when I'm on my in my draft rooms or in my lobbies, I have that sort of format looking at like, okay, if this gets these guys get taken or whatever, then I can either go down or go like try to get up and see what I can go from there. It's a more of a tool format that I like better than just like because the rankings after a while I see so many top 200s, 300s, four hundreds of whatnot, and I just like my eyes start to cross like, oh god, I need to break this down.
mm-hmm. Yeah. So and I mean yeah, and I mean it makes perfect sense though because the way that you look at it is like, all right, we'll start with tier five. I feel like these are the guys that
Yeah.
you're picking up if you have to. You're not really even thinking about most of the season. Well, in the
Yeah, I
beginning at
feel
least.
like my tier 4 and tier 5 part of my list that we'll go over is more of just like I am desperate. I need something this week.
Yeah. So I mean, looking at this, the tier five. So we have the Seattle Seahawks, Los Angeles Rams, Carolina Panthers, Atlanta Falcons, Los Angeles Chargers, Tennessee Titans, Arizona Cardinals, and the Washington Commanders. And like, I feel like 2 years ago that would have been like the top tier right there. The
Yeah, isn't
majority
that
of them.
weird?
Yeah. So tell us about this list though. Is there anybody on this list though that you're thinking like, oh well, maybe um they're probably gonna stand out or break out? or could break out, or tell us how you got these guys? Because I mean, I feel like the Panthers, well, not necessarily Panthers, but I know the Rams have had a solid defense. I know what's his
Yeah.
name just retired, but
And that's why they slipped in my list from tier 4 to tier 5. I mean, Aaron Donald's a hole clogger, and he's a huge, significant force in that defense. And I felt like losing him and getting another year older, they've kind of taken a step back. But a team that I'm really looking that could push up a tier out of this list is the Los Angeles Chargers. I think Jim Harbaugh coming in there, coaching them up, he knows how to run a team, and I feel like they got a lot of talent there. They got Joey Bosa, and I think
you got Khalil
uh,
Mack.
they got him back.
Check and see what happened with that.
That
I
would make
thought I,
sense. I thought so.
yeah, I thought I saw something about like Bosa put something on. Let me see. I'll look it
But
up. But
overall, like
yeah,
for the Chargers, I feel like they're a defense that could take that steer up, that step up to the next tier with just the coaching
hmm
aspect of it. Because I don't know what they were trying to do last year. I think they were just trying to outscore the other teams because they weren't stopping anything. It was just
actually, I see. I guess he is back.
okay.
But it looks like he's planning to retire after the season.
Oh
Or he
wow,
may retire. It says he hints at whether he'll retire after 2024. It just came out.
interesting.
Yeah.
And then like the other teams on that list, like Seattle, I feel like they just aged down. Like nothing really, like a new coaching staff too, and I just don't have really a sense of what identity, if they're gonna go back to the Legion of Boom like identity, or if they're just gonna be a defense. Like somewhere you can maybe get a couple points out of it a week, but you're not really trying to put them as like your number one defense. You're starting every week.
hmm
And
See,
then
I
for
feel
the
like
Cardinals and the Commanders and Titans, I don't. They're all kind of like any one of those teams could have been at the very bottom. I don't know what direction like their identity is, what they're trying to do on defense. They have like too much going on and just too many question marks to have them up to the next tier.
makes sense. I feel like yeah. I feel like Atlanta. I don't know. I
They're
could
a
see them
sneaky
maybe
one.
making noise.
I think they could go. They can go take a step forward.
hmm
I like them and the Chargers out of that tier to like go up.
Yeah, and I like that with the Chargers too, because yeah, I feel like I wish the Broncos would have gotten Harbaugh. Honestly, I mean Sean
That would
Payton's
have been
okay,
nice.
but yeah, I feel like he's a team builder, man. He knows
Yeah,
how to put it
that's the one
together.
thing. Like with all of just not to get too far into it, but just encompass in fantasy, I think the Jim Harbaugh effect is really going to help those Chargers, which doesn't bode well for your Broncos and other teams in the division. But I think it'll have a beneficial effect for like the higher fantasy output coming out of that team.
Yeah, I think maybe it'll take a little bit. But yeah, I could definitely see them coming together like really, really well.
But I can also see them playing the Broncos twice a year, getting chucked down by Bo Nix 4 touchdowns, and
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah,
but that
so
kind of wraps up my that list, that tier there.
yeah, I was gonna say, so yeah, we got the next tier, which is huge. It's like the biggest chunk,
Yeah,
and I mean, it makes sense. Like, these are the guys that like. I mean, some of them are gonna give you consistent points. It may not be consistent double digit points, but it's
hmm
for sure gonna give you like at least like like 9 to 10 points a week. Somewhere around there that you
yeah,
can consistently count on. But at the same time, they may not just pop. Um, I think
yeah.
yeah.
I like to consider that this tier at tier 4 is my high risk, high reward tier. Like you could get a good spike game of 12, 14 points, but you're more likely looking at probably 7, 8, maybe. I
hmm
mean, and it also because there's just a lot. I feel like there's a lot of variance in this tier as far as the performances these defenses could have.
Yeah, and it's an offense too. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
doesn't matter if they're an amazing defense. If the offense is putting them on the field the majority of the game, they're gonna get burnt. They're gonna get, plays are gonna
hmm
happen on them. So yeah, man, for sure, I agree with it. Especially like just looking at this. I mean, it's all the the teams that are just like they all have question marks around big things. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Minnesota, like, who's going to be the starting quarterback? How's the starting quarterback going to look? You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Like, the Broncos, same difference. The Giants, almost all these teams, it's like, who's going to be the quarterback except for, like, the Bengals, the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
And still, like, the Bears, what is their quarterback going to look like? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so that
I
definitely
like that you
makes
brought
sense.
that up though, added that aspect of the offenses because that does play a huge role on what defenses you're starting. Because if your defense is out there a lot more of the time, that's a higher variance for you potentially losing points because they're constantly out there getting either scored on or just getting exhausted or injuries too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very true. And like, and that's another thing. That's a big thing too. I'd say with these teams on this tier, as far as you say, like injuries. Like, yeah, they have go hard guys, but that's the problem. They have some go hard guys that are usually injured the majority of the time that they need.
Mm-hmm.
So they're always missing a key piece on defense. For sure. I can see anyone in this tier, like for sure, shutting down. You know, the first 5 weeks of the season, just shutting teams down, and then turn around and allowing 3, 4 touchdowns a game.
Mm-hmm.
The following weeks or every other week or having something like it's like I feel like these are the teams where like you're probably gonna get stuck with one. Well, not even like with
Mm-hmm.
defenses, you should all be able to, unless you're in like a 12 team or a 32 team league.
Yeah.
Where you're forced to go with those teams. But if you're in like a 8 team, 10 team, I'd say even a 12 team league, you shouldn't even have
Mm-hmm.
to be looking at these defenses other than bye weeks. Um,
Yes.
you kind of messed up if you're like, well, I mean, or I don't know, like I'm a homer sometimes, so I'll get the Broncos defense just because I know like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I'm not banking on my defense to win this thing for me. But
Yeah.
maybe that's why I haven't won one in a few years. You know what I mean? I guess.
Yeah, because that's a good perspective. Because for me, I'm kind of the same way. I don't build my fantasy team around my defense. I kind of want to have my front end of my fantasy lineup taken care of. And then what I'm looking for out of my defense is like between 12 and 15 points. Awesome. 8 to 10 points. That's fantastic. I'm fine. But I'm trying to avoid the 6 and under because those are where it gets kind of like dicey if you're sitting there Monday night and you got your defense going and you're down 7 points. It's like, oh man, I
They're
don't
about.
know about this.
Let me tell you, that happened to me last season. Who was against the Bills? Who did the Bills play in the first week of the season last year?
Let me think. Who was that? Was it the Dolphins?
I
Was it?
forget. I
No.
think it was. I don't think it was the
Or was it the
Dolphins.
Jets? I think it was
I
the
think it was the
Jets
Jets.
because then they had that big fourth quarter and they beat the
Yeah,
Bills.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, all
And I
the
had the Bills
straws coming
defense.
back.
I had the Bills defense last year, and it was 2 weeks. It happened 2 weeks in a row. The first 2 weeks last year, like that's. But I mean, that's exactly what we're saying. Like those are the teams where it's like these teams right here in tier 4, man. It's like what, like you ride with them if you got them, but don't be
Mhm,
surprised if they lose you the game.
mhm.
Don't be surprised if they lose you the game, which sucks because I
Yeah.
feel like it happened to me both times. So um, and I think
And
I
that's
might
part of
have.
doing the streaming roulette of that tier of defense is like, oh no, I got no other choice. I guess I'm gonna rock the Bears defense against the Vikings and hope they shut them down.
Yeah, and that's a big hope, and it's like they,
Yeah.
like dang man, like that's a big ask, and you can't be mad at the teams.
Mm-hmm. And that's just
Oh,
part of your draft strategy too, of how you want to do it. I mean, I'm all for doing the whole if that's how you want to do it, grab your stud defense right away. But if you want to wait, let your draft fall to you, like I mean, it shouldn't really make or break your team if you take any of those teams in that tier. I think it's just at that point you're hoping your rest of your lineup gives you
that
a
they
good
don't break
20
it.
point cushion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's totally true. And I mean, but there's nothing wrong. Like you said, there's nothing wrong with having them. And I know like I've seen like players like um rotate defenses. You know what I mean? They just switch out on defenses. If you're good at scouting, man, and you're good at following it, like
Mm-hmm.
shoot, you're good. You can go and you can tell when these defenses are gonna pop. You know what I mean? That's I can't do that. I don't follow it enough to be like, all right, who's this defense playing this week? By the time I know all that, like the leagues I'm in, the guys have already snatched up the ones
Yeah,
they're
those
doing all the
waiver wire
studying.
vultures
Mm-hmm.
wake up the
Yeah.
next morning and see the waiver wire just picked clean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, I've seen people just do that. So I don't know. Defense, it would be interesting to talk to someone that's like defense oriented, and see how they go about it. I imagine in like
Hmm.
IDP leagues, you're more so worried about defense because you do
Yeah.
get those, like linebackers are getting like wide receiver, quarterback points more,
Oh yeah.
more. So yeah, I can see that for sure. Yes, Sailor's Mouth says the Raiders got a sneaky defense.
I agree. Like I could see the Raiders going a tier up, but I can also see them staying where they're at. I mean,
Hmm.
I don't see them going any further down because that Max Crosby guy's a dog. He will kill your quarterback.
And not think twice about it. Keep it moving.
No,
Yeah, man. All right, next tier up, tier three.
this is where it gets
It gets a little dicey. It
serious.
gets yeah. I feel like yeah. Who we got? So we got the Dolphins, Houston Texans, Detroit Lions, Green Bay Packers, the Eagles. All teams trending up. Yeah, that's where you see the difference, like between
Hmm.
tier four. Like tier four is like teams like, I don't know what these teams are gonna do. You don't
Yeah.
expect these teams to win their divisions. Maybe the Vikings
Hmm.
just because they have such a solid receiving core who can catch balls from anyone, but who knows? But this is where you start seeing, the trends upward and the entire team, and it reflects upon the defense. Like this is where you see like maybe a good or not so great defense, you know, kind of
Hmm.
helped out by having an amazing offense.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then just like in the case of the Texans, just like in the case of the Texans, just happen to have like they're just clicking all around, man. It's just
Hmm.
something's happening for them right now.
Yeah. You put it perfectly. Like this is the tier where you shouldn't like it's those beginnings of like set it and be fine with it because these offenses will carry these defenses through the week of being not having to be relied upon just to be out there all the time, but they
Hmm.
since all that rest that they got are be able to make those big plays and really control games because
Yep.
all these teams on this list their offenses are high powered high functioning operations that you don't have to like some of the defensive flaws in each of these teams can kind of get masked by that.
Yeah. In which case, the Dolphins. Like
Hmm.
it's kind of hard to it's kind of hard to beat a team when they're scoring like two touchdowns every possession they have.
Yeah,
So their
last year
def
I had the Dolphins most of the time, and I was fine with that because two of them were like putting up 40, 50 points, and I'm like, all right.
Yeah, then other teams having to throw. So what are you getting? You're getting more interceptions. They're having to take more
Hmm.
risks. So it does help out a lot. Like it like I feel like it has a huge impact in which case. And like we see it with like the Lions, like their offense, they're a high powered offense. I mean, I would
Hmm.
say all these teams in this tier are definitely considered. And I think it kind of goes up from here. Every team after this too. They're like
Hmm.
obviously they're the high powered offenses of the league. They're the
Yeah, this is
the
like a tier where if you waited and these guys fell to you, you're in great shape taking them at the
mhm.
end of a draft.
Mhm. Yeah, and hold on, just like well, we'll come back to the comments. But
Hmm.
yeah, no, totally true. Like if you got I'd be fine with any one of these teams. I'd say probably like I mean, no, I'd be good. I'd probably draft one of these teams. I probably will have one of
Hmm.
these teams. Let me see. I think I do have one of these teams. Let's see what I have on my team. Because yeah, I mean I feel like you're like, all right, cool. I'm not worried about my defense. You
Hmm.
know, I haven't even done a redraft yet.
And
But
how I do my drafts and my teams is I like to get these kind of defenses where I can just see the potential of them having a big game or so, but I don't have to like worry about them come Sunday being like, oh, should I start these guys? Should I pivot to somebody else? Like, no, these guys are gonna be solid. 9, 10 points, I'll be
Mhm.
good. And if I get my higher ceiling game, that's amazing. But I wouldn't suspect you seeing any negative points out of that tier.
Yeah. No, for sure. That's to set it and forget it. For sure. Like any one of these guys, like, all right, I'm good. Um, I would just say they'd only be off put, honestly, by these next two tiers.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just like, I mean, okay, you got tier two, the Browns, the Chiefs, the Steelers, and the Bills. Like, I know I just, was just, complaining about the Bills, how they let me down.
Yeah.
Um, Actually, before we get to these, we'll go back. We'll go to these. Got a couple of chats in from Sailor's Mouth.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so he was talking about the Raiders. He said, hey, Bad Max, they just got Christian Wilkins, Divine Diablo, and Robert Spillane is a half decent
Yeah,
middle
that's not a
linebacker
bad
duo.
linebacker core.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. Like, we don't even know what we're seeing from these teams
That's why
yet.
it's the way
Like,
early rank.
way early. Like, we're just looking off what we've seen, and like, I don't even know all this news. I don't even know. I don't. Jack Jones popped off too. So I mean, and heck,
Mhm.
who knows what's up? The Raiders could come out and just. I mean, it's the AFC West. I feel like all those teams just kind
Mhm.
of they either come out super solid or they come out super flat. Like honestly,
I think
there's
the
no.
Raiders could be pretty solid. I think where their
Mhm.
flaw is going to be is their offense of putting them on the field all the time,
Mhm.
leaving them susceptible to get scored on and points taken away from.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see who their quarterback is. I tell you what.
Mhm.
And I think we're talking about on here. If Mustache Minshew comes out,
Mhm.
they're coming out slinging. They're coming out ready to
Yeah.
play for sure. But it looks like they may be going with that the guy who was a rookie last year. I forget his name, but like we'll see,
Oh,
man.
Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah, ain't no O'Connell. I mean, they
Okay.
rode with him to end the season out. Might as if he comes out, it's his job to lose. I'll say like
Yeah.
Minshew at this point, he's not gonna have a. I mean, he could, he could have like who went to Tennessee and had his, turn his career around. He could have a career turnaround, but I
Yeah.
don't see it happening. The Raiders, they got a lot of young talent too. Um,
Yeah.
and then yeah, Gardner Minshew proved himself last year to be a viable starter. I mean, no, that's true. Like, not elite, but good enough to win at least, and that's true. That's what I'm saying. Like he. And not to get all, I mean, yeah, let's get. We can talk about whatever here. This is the joy of the
Yeah.
show. But yeah, no, Gardner Minshew is not a starter. Like he is a starter. I
Mhm.
mean, but last season, I mean, how many quarterbacks started last season? I think it was
I feel like there was a
like
lot more
80.
quarterback injuries last year than the year prior.
Yeah, I think it was like a pretty like 70 or
Because
80
I
quarterbacks.
personally was kind of in the quarterback hunting all year long because I started off the year with Burrow in a lot of my leagues and he went out and then I resorted to I don't even remember, but I just know I was just constantly cycling through just anybody on that waiver wire. Just
Yeah,
someone throw the ball.
and there's always someone hurt. Um,
Mhm.
I feel like yeah, I mean, almost every team had at least one quarterback or two quarterbacks start for them in the season, and some had
Mhm.
three. Browns had four. There you go. Sales mouth. You must be a Raiders fan. Um,
Yeah, all right.
and yeah, no, I mean that's the thing. Like that's what I'm saying. That's why I feel like it's his to lose. I don't know if you see it. It says Aiden O'Connell was 50-50. I mean, he did pull through enough for Las Vegas to beat
Mhm.
Kansas City and to embarrass the Chargers. LOL. And that's true. Like,
I had the Raiders defense last year for that game against the Chargers and I won my week.
oh
I was
man,
super happy.
yeah, that was a good week. Um,
I started to ride the Raiders defense towards the end of last year, and they got me deep into the playoffs, which
no,
was
I was
nice.
lucky enough to have the Cowboys most of the season last year. Bucks fan. I'm a Buccaneers fan. They do. I think the Bucks and the Raiders. Yeah, the Raiders have a lot of future talent. I don't even know what's up with the Buccaneers as far as how their team.
I think they also get into that middle to aged out defense, and I mean, they lost Carlton Davis to the Lions. They also, I don't think they made any like big acquisitions to their defense to add to it, but I also don't think they had a significant amount to take away. But there's just nothing to me that the reason why they were in the tier they were is that I didn't see a lot of production from them last year, like big pop games, but also not really that many like blowout losses to like have a lot of negative points. They're just kind of right there in that middle to low end
Are you talking
value.
about? Are you talking about the Raiders or the
The
Bucks?
Buccaneers, sorry, the
Okay.
Buccaneers.
I
Sorry,
mean,
sorry.
it could be either one, honestly.
Yeah.
The same. Yeah. So hot take. He says, I do think the Raiders are the most underrated team in the league going into 2024. I don't know about that.
Man, AFC West is gonna be the Wild West this year. There's so many outcomes that could happen. Like I feel like we don't know until we see it what's gonna happen. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, the Chiefs are the champs, but they could also start off slow. And
They're gonna
yeah,
start off slow. They don't need to start off fast. The Chiefs are like LeBron James. Like
they
you
don't need the
don't
first
worry
three
about.
quarters. They just need the
Yeah,
fourth
you're not
one.
watching regular season stats. You're watching playoff stats. You're waiting till the
Yeah.
playoffs start. Like that's what they're coming in. And then speaking of playoffs, if you're in the playoffs, you probably got
This is
teams from
it.
these next few
Yeah.
tiers. Yeah. Cleveland Browns, Kansas City Chiefs, Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Buffalo Bills.
This is the tier where if you're going into the last game of your week and you're down a couple points, you're like, I got it. This is fine. This is my week. We're going to win it because these are the defenses that are going to just round off your team to keep you in the win column. And there shouldn't be much variance to them being the reason why you would lose a week.
Very, very true. Like I'd say, hold on, had a comment. We'll go back to it. But yeah, I'd say out of that tier, yeah. I'd say maybe the Bills. Like I said, they lost me 2 games last season.
Yeah.
So I know for sure like they lost the game. Well, yeah, they lost the game.
It
Yeah.
was personal almost, it feels.
Yeah, the first week because I was just like literally I can oh man, I'm gonna have to I think I can pull it up
I
on
mean,
I
I
think it was
never
on
feel good
Sleeper.
either too when if I'm starting off my season 0-2, I'm like, oh man.
Man, I pulled it. I
But
think
never
I
give
pulled
up.
it
I
out.
will say this: one of my top fantasy tips: do not give up. You start off 0-3,
Mm-hmm.
0-4, 0-5. Do not catch those
Mm-hmm.
other teams slipping in your leagues. Stay focused, vigilant on that waiver wire. Work them trades. Get back into the playoff mix because my philosophy is you just need to get in. It's nice if you're the top seed. Cool, you get the bye. You just need to get to the dance, get in there, and
Mm-hmm.
then strut your stuff with these defenses and these teams you build and win yourself a championship.
Yep. Yep. I mean, waiver wire beast. I mean, that's the whole point of
Mm-hmm.
fantasy football is like eating up the waiver wire, man. Like,
Mm-hmm. Before everybody else does in the morning.
yeah, you got to get there. Obviously, sorry, I was trying to find that game, but yeah, you got to
No,
get there
you're good.
before. And everybody, and I mean, if I don't know, if you're paying, you're playing. I feel like if I'm paying for
Mm-hmm.
something, I'm
Oh,
gonna be
for
engaged
sure.
in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, you don't have to be on top of it all the time, but I mean, shoot, if
Mm-hmm.
you're playing, watch, ESPN, watch us. We'll tell you, especially as the season
Mm-hmm.
rolls around, we'll have your injuries. We'll have your updates, we'll be bringing you breaking news. You know what I mean? I'll have little shorts coming
Yeah.
out, everything, you know what I'm saying? So, just follow it and just use everything you can to your advantage. Just to have maybe that one up. It may be that 10 minutes, that 5 minutes, that 2 minutes, of getting on there and clicking before somebody else, that can change a lot of stuff. Like, especially like as the weeks dwindle down too, and then you see like which
Mm-hmm.
players and which teams aren't in it to win it, and they're just kind of just there. It starts tightening up, you know what I mean? Because
Yep.
that's when it matters, you know what I mean? Because that's when you got to snatch up those reserve players. Those players are coming in and there's gonna be injuries. It's the NFL.
Mm-hmm. It always happens.
It always happens. But I mean, not to get off track, like you said. Oh, it'll get to this comment though. Actually, it
Oh.
says that's why I said going into the season, not period. For all I know, that the Raiders could finish under 500. Oh, I thought it was something important. No, I'm just playing. Thanks for the comments coming in, but
Just
you're right. I
Raiders
mean,
talk.
it's just more Raiders talk, and I don't know. As a Broncos fan, I don't care for that.
Did they
Nah,
figure out their not to get off topic either, but did they figure out or get a better idea of what their running back room is looking like going into
who's that?
preseason? Is
The
it still
Raiders?
Javante at the top, or is it Jaleel
Oh,
now? Or
oh man. Actually, I've been super busy with work, selling cars. If you guys are looking for a car, hit me up. BMW Audi Expert. Got what you need. But anyway, yeah, no. Last I heard, it was leaning in the direction of Jaleel.
oh wow, Okay.
Yeah, he's been more explosive. Let's see
Because
if
in
they
a
got any
few
more.
leagues, I saw people just straight up dropping Samaje Perine. I was like, where is he going? Are they cutting him
I
or what?
mean, if they don't cut him, if they don't cut him, I don't know. Like I feel like he's gonna play because they can use him,
Yeah.
but they just have like, I mean, Estime is like the same. You know, they have so many of the same running backs. Um,
And I
and
also read that that Blake Watson guy is really showing out in OTAs too. So
yeah,
that's
that's the
what,
thing. Like,
4 or 5 guys now in the backfield.
yeah, him and Jalil are both undrafted. You know, you got Estime, who's a rookie. He was
Hmm.
drafted in the fourth round. Um, and those guys are cheap and they're supposed to be solid. You know what I mean? Javante is really,
Hmm.
really good. It's running back, man. Like Samaje, I mean, you know, I like Samaje. You know, I think Javante
Hmm.
is amazing, but neither one of them, you know, averaged over like 5 yards a game. Neither, I don't even think they averaged over 3.5 yards a game. Um, I think Javante finished out the last few games under like 3 yards a game. You
Yeah.
know, we haven't really had a 100 yard rusher consistently. Um, you know, and I just I could see I wouldn't be surprised if they do just go with Jaleel just to get that burst. You
Hmm.
know, and then I could see him, you know, working in Estime. They'll still have you know, and that's the thing. Like I don't know, Javante's still a beast, and I just think it makes our running back room that much better because they have to
Always
work.
good to have depth. It's better to have
Yep.
the problem of like which one rather than like, oh God, we need someone.
Yep. And they're not going to want to pay money for running backs if they don't have to. When you have,
Hmm.
like I said, those two undrafted guys and one fourth round pick rookie, I mean, what is that, like $5 million combined? If that,
Yeah.
you know, like probably not
And I don't
even.
know how much they would save either if they cut Pirine.
Yeah, that's the truth. I think, yeah, at this point, kind of waited too long. But I mean, look how much money they're paying, you know, for Russell Wilson to pay for the Steelers. Like
Oh,
the Walton Penner Group, they're the richest, you know, ownership group in the NFL. Like they
yeah.
got money and they're trying to do something. I mean, Sean Payton has what, like 3 more years, 2 more years. I think three more
Something like
years left
that.
in his contract. Like they're
Yeah.
not trying to figure out what they got to do in 2 years. You know, they're trying to do it now. They had last season to experiment and like I don't know. I like I said, I like Javante, but I mean, unfortunately, he just didn't do what he
He was
needed to
coming off the
do.
ACL too, so
Yeah, there was that.
some
So
people.
I mean, and but I feel like they could have used Jalil a lot more too last season. So I think
Hmm.
it's a weird situation because there's so many young players. But I think Sean
Hmm.
Payton is in a win now mode
Yeah.
with how he's going about stuff, even though it is young. But I mean, we're seeing young players can win. You know, we had the
Hmm.
Texans in the second round of the playoffs last season, man. Like you had Detroit, you know, winning their division back to back. So we're seeing like you don't need, you know, maybe you don't need guys just because they're vets. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, Salesman said he thinks Audric Estime was a solid pick. And then he also said, which I think it was solid. I think it was a great pick. We got the Browns in tier two and not tier one, not judging, just asking. And I think we were touching on that.
Yes, and I will explain myself here. The
Mhm.
reason why I have teams like the Steelers and the Browns here in tier 2 is the division that they play in. They got Baltimore they have to play twice. They have all those 4 teams in that division are super tough and super hard. And any of
Always.
those games can go either way. So that to me kind of it the strength of the division is what holds them down into this tier 2 rather than the actual like performance or just standard. These defense are excellent. Don't get me wrong, but just the challenge of the strength of that division leans to be they getting more points scored on them. Hence, then you don't getting most points from those defenses because those divisional games, those are brutal. Those are hard hitting. Those are physical games in that
Hmm.
AFC North. And
Especially as
now
you get
that the
closer to the
Ravens
end.
got Derrick Henry and like it's like I like the reason why too the Browns are in the tier 2 is because I don't know about that offense. I don't know
Yep.
if it's Deshaun Watson, if it's Jameis Winston, is Chubb running the ball,
Hmm.
or like who's gonna get it to Njoku and Cooper and Judy? I don't, so it is part of that effect of like question marks in the offense results in fatigue and exhaustion on the defense and more susceptible to being points against.
Yeah, didn't they lose to a rookie quarterback last year in the playoffs? I'm just saying. No.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. But yeah, no, totally. And then we might as well. We already know who's in tier 1, but um, yeah, these are the guys that like, and to go against the point we were saying earlier, tier 4 and 5, how a solid offense, you know, carries a solid defense. The Jets are a prime example of how a solid defense can carry you to the head of your division
Yeah.
halfway through the season without a quarterback. Like,
Imagine what they could have done with Rodgers the
oh
whole
man,
year. If
last year,
that defense literally carried that team as far as they possibly could go.
yeah, we'll go back to Cleveland, but yeah, just talking about that, man. Imagine if they would have had Aaron Rodgers the whole year, like you just said. Like,
Mm-hmm.
man, just think honestly, and then imagine if they would have had Aaron Rodgers like he expected to be, vintage Aaron Rodgers, with that
Mm-hmm.
receiving core, with Brees Hall, who's killing it. Who's killing it, with Garrett Wilson, who's killing it. Garrett Wilson was making touchdowns. It seemed like he was throwing them to himself because Zach Wilson was throwing it so bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, man, like I can only imagine what the Jets are gonna. I just hope Aaron Rodgers doesn't trip on any grass, doesn't get hit hard or anything. I want to see.
Just make it past the first series.
Yeah, man, it's
That's all
like
we're asking.
it's like these pro sports, man. Same thing. I feel like in the NBA, we get these amazing combinations, man. We get these really good combinations, right? But we never get to see them in action because somebody's hurt. One piece is hurt. One piece is missing, so you don't see the full vision. And it's like, oh
And it's
man,
frustrating.
it is frustrating. One, you got Aaron Rodgers on one side, right? You know what I mean? You got all these offensive keys, these offensive pieces. Then you got, oh man, you got friggin' what's the cornerback? I don't know why I'm blanking on the cornerback's name.
Sauce Gardner?
Sauce CJ, yeah, Sauce Gardner, man. And then you got Saleh, Robert Saleh, who's like probably one of the greatest defensive minds in this game, man. Who had San Francisco just rolling. I mean, they're still looking good without him, but he just carried it over to the Jets, man. And like, I think if you have a chance, I feel like the Jets are like the Jets are like the Christian McCaffreys, They're
And I
the
agree with
Justin
Sailor here about Garrett
Jeffersons.
Wilson.
Yeah. He's definitely gonna be a top, especially if Aaron Rodgers
Absolutely.
is playing.
Yeah, if he's healthy.
Yeah. He said
So
low
this is
end.
right now. If you're in leagues right now, I feel this is the best chance you're going to be able to get Garrett Wilson at a lower value price. Like if you want him, I did it. I traded 2 seconds for him in my
Yeah.
dynasty league. I
And
went for it.
and that's crazy that people are trading him away. It's like, honestly, if you get a chance to get this guy,
Well, the feedback
there's-
is I asked people, I'm like, why is well, I appreciate you entertaining the offer, but what is your big why he's even available is because they don't know about Rodgers. They don't know about that offense. And they had him last year when he was getting thrown to by the ball boy.
and he was still making plays. Like when he went out there and made plays, he made plays. It just wasn't getting the opportunities. It wasn't because he wasn't catching balls or he wasn't hitting his routes. He wasn't getting the opportunity. Zach Wilson couldn't get him the ball. They were run heavy. They had to do what they had to do. But it's gonna be an air raid for sure. Like if anything, for the fact that Aaron Rodgers, if he's healthy, is gonna be throwing the ball. It's his last hurrah. You know what I mean? He has he's trying to go out on a bang. It's Aaron Rodgers. He's not gonna go out on a bang. So Garrett Wilson's about to be open a lot, man, because you combine that with Brees Hall's running. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do in their division? I mean, come on, like the Bills, they had their Super Bowl window. Yeah, they still got studs. They're still killing it. They're still up there, but they had their window. The Dolphins, man, they're like
They're
like
still
a
hungry.
they're hungry, but they're like a rabid dog, man. They're like a
Yeah.
dog that's like been locked in your house all day and is super happy to see you. Just explodes.
They don't know what
They
happens
can't
when they first see the sun when they get outside. They're like, ah, oh,
yeah,
oh.
they can't control it, man. And then you got the Patriots. They just don't know what they're doing. Um, Dang, he tried to draft Wilson. Oh, one pick through. I thought he said he
Damn.
tried to draft him at one. I was like, I don't know about one, but I mean,
Yeah, I don't
maybe,
know about one.
maybe to
If it
switch it
was
up
a,
because you think about it, man. Honestly, like how many
but I'm all
times?
for those kind of draft picks though too. Like if you believe in a player that much to be in your draft, like if it's a full point PPR league, 12
Yeah.
team, whatever, like if you believe in the talent, go for it. Absolutely. If you have a reason why you think a player should be that high on your board, go for it because
Mm-hmm.
I know when I have those players on my team, it makes me feel so much more excited and passionate about my team when they win. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
rooting for that guy. I was behind that guy when everyone else had, I don't know, go with this guy instead. He's a safer option, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I like that for because it gets your league talking and it gets like more engagement in your league. Like, oh, did you hear about the guy who took Garrett Wilson #1 overall? That's crazy. And it gets excitement about the season.
And I mean, how many times have you seen the picks 1 through 3? That's the consensus pick 1 through 3. Those players. How many times have you seen those players hurt for a significant portion of the season? Last season, Justin Jefferson.
hmm I
Before
did
that.
it. Funny you should say that. 2 out of the last 3 years, I had Christian McCaffrey and Jonathan Taylor as my first overall pick when I had the first overall. They both were
Yep.
gone, and I'm like, I'm not picking first overall anymore. I can't do it. Every time I do it, I pick the guy who goes down all season.
I had
So
Justin
yeah, to your
Jefferson last
point, like
year.
it's happened to me twice.
Mm-hmm. Let's see Sailor's mouth. He got a squad for his receivers. He got Jefferson, Marvin Harrison Jr., George Pickens,
mm,
and then he said Keon Coleman on his rotation.
that's solid.
How are you feeling about Marvin Harrison Jr.? Are you picking Marvin Harrison Jr. over? Hmm. Let me look at some. Let me go back to this receiver list. Let's look at
Making
this.
me
Let's
think.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's go and see. Because I mean, he's number
Yeah.
one receiver. I mean, he's gonna be one or two options as long as he holds up to his name for the
hmm
Cardinals.
And Trey
Uh,
McBride's gonna pull coverage off of him in the middle of the field to just get him open deep.
and Kyler Murray can run. So
hmm
you have to remember that too. So let's see. All right, got Marvin Harrison. You taking Marvin Harrison over Mike Evans?
Mike Evans has been so good to me the last few
Yeah,
years.
so consistent.
Yeah, he's my set it and forget it in my wide receiver spot. But
But he
man,
hasn't
I'll tell you
exactly
what.
popped.
So I would definitely think about it for sure in a dynasty startup.
Well, yeah, okay. In Dynasty, that's a different
Yeah.
situation because you know
So for
you're.
redraft though, it depends where I'm at. Like if I'm at the turn or close to the turn, like I don't know, let's say 10, 12 team, like if I'm in the 9, 10 range, I could possibly get both those guys. So
True.
I'd be willing to maybe pull the trigger on Harrison, and then if Mike Evans is back there on the back end, scoop him up too. I
Uh, Maybe. I mean, I feel like if you're like the last pick, like you said, like if you're like
yeah,
12
like if you're at the
and then
back
flipping
end
over
of
to
the at the
one,
draft order, yeah.
are you taking Marvin Harrison Jr. over Debo Samuel? Knowing all the stuff Debo Samuel can do.
Dude. I think I am still going Debo because I think that he's going to be even more relied upon in this offense than Marvin Harrison will be in his offense with the Ayuk situation. I don't think Ayuk's staying in San Francisco.
Plus, Debo's a running back too. I mean, Debo's
Essentially, yeah, he's
he's a
two
do it
two
all.
positions in one.
Mm-hmm. What about over Puka?
This is just me and my personal opinion on Puka. He's not necessarily a one-hit wonder, but I think last year was his ceiling. I don't think we're ever going to see that type of season from Puka again,
Well,
where I can see.
I was gonna
Go
say,
ahead.
especially with I can't remember names, man.
Cooper Cup's back
Cooper
and he's
Cup's
healthy.
back for a full season. He's had a full season,
Yeah.
a full off season. So Puka ain't
Exactly.
getting all those targets. But at the same time,
Hmm.
too, though, I mean, Puka proved himself to be
He
a Cooper
he
Cup
did.
type
Yeah.
player. They've needed
Hmm.
that, man. They've needed that. So does Cooper Cup pull attention away from him and he get more catches, or does, uh,
Yeah.
man, I don't know. I'd probably take Puka over Marvin Harrison Jr. just because I
Hmm.
feel more confident in Matt Stafford over Kyler Murray
Hmm.
making
And a
more
redraft,
passes.
certainly, yes, but it would create some thought for me in a dynasty setup.
Well, in the dynasty setup, you got to look at it like,
Mm.
I mean, oh man, that's a hard one too. Well, because yeah, I mean, eventually the Rams are gonna be changing quarterbacks. You're gonna have to wonder if that's
That's
still
where I
there.
have, because I feel like Kyler Murray, you still got 4 or 5 more years, whereas Stafford, I'm like maybe 2, 3, and then what happens to Puka with a new quarterback?
Wow. Who is this Sailor's Mouth? Hey, tell us who you are. Like I said, I
Who
can't
is
tell who
this?
people are. What kind of league are you in? A redraft? Are you in a dynasty? Are you in an Iron Man league?
Hmm.
Tell us what's going on because you got some crazy picks. What you got, like 6 people in your league? No, it's a really good
You
draft,
just got
honestly. Your
super
wide
team.
receiver court, but yeah. I mean, let's see what he says. Just call me, or she. Sorry, he or she. I'm sorry. Just call
Oh,
me Sailor. All right, well, Sailor, thanks for joining in, though. Thanks for chiming in. It's been amazing.
yeah,
Having
I
some
love the
interaction.
feedback and the questions. It's great. It adds another
Mm-hmm.
element. I love it.
Yep, this is what we live for. Like Shawnee said, we'll drop what we're doing, and that's the point. The point is
Hmm.
the feedback, really. Otherwise it's just us
Hmm.
sitting up here talking to each other. Having conversations we can have with each other outside of this. But no, it's really, really great having the feedback. Let's go back to your defenses really quick. Got about a little under 9 minutes. Out of
Hmm.
these four teams, who are you taking first if you have the chance? You're ready to
Jets.
draft your defense. Jets?
Yeah. It was hard for me. It wasn't so easy to do Baltimore over New York. I just it the Ravens have proved it, and they're the reason why they'd be there at the top. But I just feel like I have a better feeling about the Jets situation than I do with the Ravens situation. But I mean, for me, my personal I want a piece of that Jets defense if I had to take one.
There you go.
Because the
Uh,
Cowboys, they showed way too much variance for me last year. And the 49ers kind of like they were like they deserve to be there at that 3. Like they're like I didn't see like a higher ceiling coming out of them.
Plus, they kind
And
of
it didn't
flopped
seem
after
like
like I feel like it was after like the fourth or fifth game. They kind of switched up and started giving up points,
yeah.
man. Once like Debo went down, once CMC went down,
Mhm.
like they were a whole different defense for sure.
Yeah.
And then yeah, same thing with Dallas. Like Dallas was pretty, they were good, definitely coming out the gate. And to end the season, they were really good. But they did have a couple of slip ups, for
Yeah.
sure. Whereas with the Jets, I feel like it's not them. Um,
Yeah, like between the Jets and Ravens, I hardly saw any slip ups there.
Yeah. And yeah, same thing with the Ravens. Like, yeah, the playoff game, that wasn't the defense's fault. If your
Yeah.
offense would just run the ball with your running back, get some yards, you may, but that's neither here nor there. Sailor
Mhm.
comes back, said he joined a random 10-person ESPN PPR league for now. Don't worry, I'll be in more than just that. That's my
Mhm.
first draft of the season. And he says, who am I? I'm just a huge sports fan who loves to study and evaluate the game off the field.
Hell yeah, so are we.
Right? Is this Mike? It sounds like the homie
Just
Mike.
trolling.
Right? No, but yeah, no, totally. Same thing. Like, so we just like, just love the game of football. I mean, like I said, a few episodes ago, that's how I found your league. It's like, oh,
Mhm.
let me check it out. Then I was like, oh, I don't have the brain capacity to try to, because it was
Well,
like, oh, I
you
could
should have seen
do
the
it,
look
but
on my face when I got invited into that league because they
yeah,
had orphan teams, and I pop in and I look, I'm like, how many players on a you what?
it's a
All
lot.
right, let's try this then.
It's a lot, and it's like slim pickings. You gotta really, really be on
Oh
it.
my gosh, looking at that waiver wire and a 32 team, I was just like, who?
Mm-hmm.
Who?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is that team still open?
Oh yeah, the league's still open. Yes,
No, I'm
we
saying the,
have.
the
I
team, the
think
Broncos. Is that team still available? I
Yeah,
was thinking
yeah, it's still
I
there.
may come back. I may come back and do it
Hmm.
because I mean it would be fun, especially with a dynasty, to see how I could build it out.
Hmm.
I didn't think about that. I was like thinking like now I was like, oh, this team sucks. Like I won't. I don't. I
That
can't.
and that's why we're having sort of a turnover in it right now. And we still have like available slots because people pop in, look at it, be like, "Oh man, they're garbage right now." And it's just like just a little perspective. This is dynasty, so you built it the way you want it. You might just have to eat a couple years, but
Right. Actually, let me shoot. Hold on. Let me pull it up. I can share the link for it. You said you had some open teams on it still.
yeah,
Yeah. Here, maybe.
there's six orphaned rostered teams available.
All right. Hold on. Let me see. Must. I think I could still pull it up and. Oh, maybe can I?
So would I need to send you the link again?
It's the bracket pool 34. No. You probably have to
No, here.
send me the link and then I can share it on here. That way.
Yeah, one
Um.
second. I'm gonna do that right now.
Yeah, so if you guys are looking for a league to join, I mean it's a 32 team league, essentially mimicking the teams across the NFL. So you kind of, got a chance to
Hmm.
kind of follow your
Well,
team and go ahead.
yeah, because the startup, the idea is, yeah, you're taking over this a mirrored NFL team, but as the dynasty goes through, you're cycling out players, making trades, drafting, and whatnot, and it basically it becomes a team of your own at some point.
Mhm.
We just did the format of the NFL because then it's easier to do divisions and whatnot, and whose teams, and then we don't have like inappropriate like names for teams and stuff.
Yeah,
That
no.
whole fun stuff. Here, I'm just pulling up the thing right now.
No
Do,
worries.
do,
I'm gonna take
do.
this chance and go ahead and
Oh yeah.
share a commercial again. Look, guys, yeah, if you haven't used Manscaped, I mean, it's great, guys. Honestly, if you know what I mean, keep you guys clean, keep you guys shaved up. Your women will love it. If you use our code Shady Sports, you get 20% off. I think we only need like 4 more subscriptions to get it put on permanently as an affiliate. So,
Ooh.
yeah, if you guys use it or you thinking about using it, go use manscaped.com. So here, let me pop this up real quick while I pull up this link, and then
Cool.
How are you? Bring them things, I bring them things. I call the plug, bring them things. I bring them things.
That's money. That's cash out.
Forever you and me. Right by my side, where you ought to be. 'Cause if I ever were to lose you, I just don't know what I'd do. Let me hear you now.
yeah, man, that Sam did a good job with those for sure. So here, I shared the link for its 32 team league in the chat, and then I'm gonna share a banner across the screen.
Oh,
That way.
that's awesome of you because yeah, I've been recruiting nonstop actively for this whole month because of the high turnover of influx and people of just dropping out of it because yeah, it's a little bit too much, but also it's the rosters aren't ideally essential. I mean, because you got teams like the Saints, the Steelers, Browns, Cardinals, Giants, and there's one other team that's Broncos that's available that they all have their question marks and their variances, and it's all the way down to like defensive tackles, defensive end, linebackers, whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So at first it's jarring, it's a lot to take in, but I've built a culture in that league of 29, 30 other me's of like here to help you, here to like coach you through it, walk you through it, ease you into it, and help you out and build a greater team and work trades and keep the peace and whatnot. Like, because I'm trying to fill with a bunch of people who are as compassionate, as equally passionate about fantasy football as I am.
Yeah. And I mean, that's how we are too. That's how me and Shawnee. That's why I was like,
Hmm.
when I started this, I hit up Shawnee. I was like, man, we talk about fantasy football so much, we might as well get on a show. And I've been trying to get like other guys too from our league because these guys, they talk fantasy sports
More
all
than you
day.
guys?
Way more.
Oh,
Like
wow.
all day, and that's where I get a lot of my info from too. So it's cool to have
Mm-hmm.
like something here where people can come and talk. It's not just us talking. We're not pros. We're
Mm-hmm.
not experts. You know what I mean? We just happen to love the game and we follow it enough to be able to put information together for people. Kind of like you, Sailors. Sailor says I do sports takes, mostly NFL and a little bit of MLB, but basically I spend all my time studying players, teams, prospects, coaches, and everything. Well, shoot, hit me up, man. At 303 Bandwagon. Cedric Green on Facebook, at 303 Bandwagon on X. Hit us up on here. Come on the show. I'd be more than happy to send you a link.
Mm-hmm.
We do this every Tuesday night. 6:30 Mountain Standard Time, 7:30 the time zone next to us, 8:30 East Coast, and then was that 5:30 West Coast.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we're here. Let us know. Unfortunately, our time has come up. Yeah, man. Sailor, like I said, come next week. I'll shoot you the link when you get in here, and then I'll get you on with us. But
That sounds great. I look forward
yeah,
to it.
heck yeah, and thank you, Justin. It's good going over your defensive tiers.
Absolutely. You're
Um,
welcome. Thanks.
yeah, definitely. I know
Is
Shawnee
there
has some
any
stuff. Go ahead.
was there any on that list, just not drag it out too much, but any on that list that you thought was like the most questionable, like where I put them, or is
No, I thought it fell together. Like I said, maybe Atlanta, just
yeah.
because the division's so weak, and I think they have some solid corners.
Yeah.
And I think their offense will be a little bit better, so I could see them jumping up. So maybe Atlanta. Other than that, I mean, looking back on them, honestly, I think they're all pretty on par, pretty on point. Maybe let's go to tier 3. I can see like the Lions doing a lot better. They kind of up their
Mm-hmm.
game, and the Texans, I can see them taking the next step. But then again, that's like we said, that's like they're right there. Where it's like, yeah, you're gonna be good with them. So I don't think there are any question marks at all. And it's still
Cool.
super early. We still got a preseason
Oh
to
yeah.
get through. We'll see what happens from the preseason. I think once we get
Oh yeah.
at least week 2 of the preseason, or even just week 3 with that week off, we'll know. I think we'll revisit and do our starter season ranks, and then we'll see how they
Okay.
compare. And yeah,
Okay.
I think it'll be interesting. I don't think much will change in the defensive end. I think others like the tight ends, receivers, and stuff like that stuff will change around. But I
Yeah,
think this
yeah.
is pretty solid going into the season. I think it's pretty much how we're gonna see it, with maybe one or two like standing out,
Surprises,
and a
yeah.
couple, and a couple being duds that we didn't know who knew, and like we said,
Mm-hmm.
we're not pros, we just
The
love it.
Bills.
So yeah, exactly. Screw, I'm not getting the Bills this season. I'll tell you that. I'm dropping them. I'm dropping them in my keeper league, and I'm getting a new deep. I got the Raiders actually, so I think I'm gonna ride with the Raiders and
Hell
leave the
yeah.
Bills where they are.
I'd ride
Uh,
with the Raiders over the Bills.
yeah,
I like to fresh it up.
that's how I ended my season. Well, shoot, I mean, let's talk about that next year or next week. Sorry, next week we'll just come
Yeah.
back and we'll talk about the players and the teams that we felt like we could do without this year that we were so high on last year. I think that'll be a good topic.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, go ahead and leave that in the comments. Whatever players you had last year that you can do
Mm-hmm.
without this coming up season, that you want to stay away from actually. So that'd be good to talk about. Leave your comments out there for us. I'll check them. Hit me up at 303 Bandwagon on X. Cedric Green. You can hit up Justin, Teixeira, or Test. How do you say it?
So it's Justin Tessier.
Tessier.
It's French Canadian.
Okay.
It's technically Tessier, but not a lot of people catch on to that, so it's Tessier is my last name.
Okay, well, Cedric's French. I mean, I don't know if it is officially, but I tell people it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, hit us up. Reach out to Shawnee, at Shawnee Monahan, at Shawnee Mon on Instagram. Reach out, send them some love, man. Get your questions in there. Let us know your teams. Let us know players that you had last year that you were big on and that you're staying away from for sure. This upcoming season. I'd love to hear about them. Other than that, it's been fun. Justin, thanks for joining.
Hell yeah, happy to be here.
Of course. Sailor, thanks for your questions, man. Keep it engaged, guys. Hit us with your questions. Hit us with your comments. Don't forget to follow, like, subscribe. Shady Sports Network. ShadySportsNetwork.com. Go on YouTube, Shady Sports Network, under Shady Sports Fantasy Reports. You can find us. Other than that, got anything, Justin?
Nah, you wrapped it up real good. Otherwise, if you want to reach out to me, I'm more than willing. It's Justin Tessier on Facebook, Justin.Tessier Snapchat. Otherwise, it's Teixeira on Sleeper and Discord. I'm more than welcome, happy to answer them. Any questions you have with fantasy or football in general, I just like talking sports.
There you go. And yeah, his link is right below us, the Sleeper League. If you're looking for a fantasy team to join, 32 team Dynasty League still has some teams open. Get in there. He can let you know what's open. It's also in the chat. So check out that link. Catch us next week, guys. It's been fun. Talk to you next week. Have a good one.
I'm a game changer.